Welcome back, guys. We are here at the LCK, and everybody is here with us on the ship. Raise them sails. We are going to game number 2. It is me, Valdez, with Leblanc. And yeah, I mean, game number 1 was just a stomperino. Gen.G took them to the ship. You know what I'm saying, LS?
They took them to the ship, they tossed them overboard, and I don't want to know what happens when you sink in the waters that the ship sails.
I know, it's
the only pure
scary
thing that floats in the ocean of sinners.
Yeah, the only person who really knows, I suppose, would be Tom Kench, maybe Nautilus? He might be too deep for that. Anyway, guys, we do have Clid picking up the player of the game. He's got 700 points. He has earned 7 player of the games. And 5-1 and 11. Just dominating in the jungle. 100% kill participation. There were 16 kills. He was part of every single one of them.
Yeah, he had such a phenomenal performance. We were talking about it at the end of the last game. So, feels like a very rightfully deserved MVP capture by Clid. It's just so on point. Look at that cancel onto Pantheon. Didn't want him to be alone. Knocked up Scuttle Crab with him as well. And this was it. The Baroon. It's sort of like Maroon 5, but
Baroon
without
5?
any good... Yeah. Because the 5 of them were in the pit.
Yeah.
This is like if the Baroon 5 were... I don't know, if they were memed like Nickelback or something.
Yeah. Oh boy, 9 out of 9, by the way. Everybody, yeah, I think is this the first time today? I feel like we had multiple troll votes come in. Like, the observers voted a couple together. There were multiple times one person on the Korean cast voted for some random person. We were like, I guess he was a player in the game, but not exactly player of the game. Either way, guys, it is going to be Ghost out and Nuclear in. I'm not sure exactly. It wasn't like Ghost had a bad game or anything. I thought he had good moments in the bottom side, and a lot of the different the reasons why Gen.G got ahead were not at all related to the bottom lane. So kind of funny, but I suppose they just want to try it out. Nuclear's going to come in. Barrel will come in as well. So a new bottom lane for DAMWON.
It makes absolutely no sense. Bot lane had nothing to do with why that game was losing. And so whenever I see substitutions like this, I never really understand what goes into it whatsoever. Now, obviously, maybe the bot lane came out of that game and requested to be subbed out. Maybe they're tilted, or maybe they're... I
Get me out of here, coach. I don't want to play with these guys anymore.
Inside of teams before. In best of threes, and I've even experienced it personally when I was coaching in Korea briefly. Sometimes that would happen. Players would actually come out of a win or a loss and just request to not play the next game. So, could have been a real thing.
Okay.
Obviously, we don't know.
Wow, an Ezreal ban here on blue. They were not happy with Ruler's Ezreal. They say, get me out of that. They do not want to go into a game with an Ezreal in it. And so we do have still Kalista and Ornn available. Ornn is gone. Will Kalista follow?
And the really scary thing is that Gen.G are now the ones on red side. They're going to have the counter picks available. When's the last time we saw Aatrox banned on red side?
I have no idea.
This is...
Sent before the dawn of time. It's the last time.
So is Nuggery just going to pick the Kalista again?
Yeah, I mean, especially on blue, I think, why not?
And, okay, well, this is honestly a little... The moxie on Rascal, if that is going to be another top set, because we got to understand that Kalista did get ahead of the set, despite everything super catastrophically going wrong in the early stages of the game for Nuggery up there. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why they would pick it up. Now, obviously, if Set gets ahead of Kalista, it's lights out. But that does require Kalista to make mistakes, and she did make them in game number 1. Clid capitalized excellently, but Gen.G looking like they have a very similar draft going on right now.
Yeah, they just pick the same first 2 that they picked the first time around, and they did hover the Taric. Obviously, Kalista Taric in the bottom lane is very common, just because Taric is going to be tanky enough to be thrown into fights. Plus, if you throw his ultimate out first and then you throw him out, it's like, oh, nice little combo there. Everybody on your team is going to have invulnerability for a while. And so he does get picked up here. Gen.G kind of reading the situation. What is DWG going to go for here in terms of a jungle? I would consider they pick, but actually no, they're going to go for Sylas here.
Well, Sylas and Taric both picked up. This is definitely looking like a brawler kind of team composition out of DAMWON, and will Gen.G just, again, calibrate into long-range, disengaged champions, as Kai'Sa doesn't fit the mold on that one. Definitely a bit strange. We'll see what ends up happening elsewhere in the draft. Remember, the set can pivot down into bot lane. But as it currently stands, I would give DAMWON the edge as we move into ban phase number 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to take an edge away from a team that picks up first pick Kalista into Kalista Taric, plus something that fits well with those 2. Now they're going to ban away the Renekton here. I feel like it makes a little bit more sense than we saw in game number 1's Renekton ban. Although I'm sure you'd argue that maybe Renekton should never be banned.
Well, at this point, maybe they're suspecting that it is a legitimate pivot down into bot lane by Kalista, and that it won't actually be Nuguri piloting it for the second game in a row. As what is going to be the final ban for Gen.G, and what are they going to blind here on R4? They could choose another dual-purpose champion in the sense of retaining set stability to flex mid-top or support. I think that would probably be the most valuable, and then waiting for a lot of information as Azir does bite the dust. Now, Leblanc is open, and Leblanc is pretty good against Sylas. Zoe, another champion that is open and available, but would definitely be a bit interesting as Akali is going to get locked in here by Gen.G.
Very interesting that does get picked up. As you mentioned, the set can be flexed down into the bottom side if they want to keep some kind of mid-top last pick for Gen.G. Of course, they could just last pick a support and go kind of normal there, as Jace is going to get locked in.
The Jace pick is a little bit scary, because with the set Jarvan and Kai'Sa only having one mode paired with the Akali, it gave DAMWON a chance to sort of pivot back into more control, and they've opted out of it. They lock in a Jace that's now off theme with some of the other champions inside of the draft. He's not going to have any sort of split push potential inside of this game as it currently does stand. The Sylas is now actually going to end up inside of the jungle. And the Zoe blind, we talked about LeBlanc, has the ability to come out here, and LeBlanc doesn't actually counter Zoe. But it's BDD on LeBlanc. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors that can go on this game, and what a bizarre B4, B5 out of DAMWON. They really punt the draft, and I'm gonna need a little bit of time to think this through, Valdez.
Okay. Yeah, we've seen a lot of punting. We talked about how the players are extremely well-versed in ping pong, but apparently also quite good at American football at the same time. And it's not the first time, again, that we've seen this in the draft, a bit of punting. They totally switch up the way that their composition is going to play. Of course, Zoe and Jace can work well together, but not so well with the rest of them. And as I was saying before, Gen.G actually does go for the flex with Set into the bottom side, as we both alluded to. They saved that counter pick for the mid lane. As you mentioned, not exactly a counter pick up against the Zoe, but still, it's BDD on LeBlanc. LeBlanc, extremely powerful. Right now, we've seen a lot of bans towards it today, but this is going to be the first time today that LeBlanc is making her way onto the Rift.
And, okay, I've thought it through. I'm going to give the draft edge over to Gen.G. There's just so much mobility and repositioning on the side of Gen.G. And with the Zoe and the Jace being off-theme from the Sylas, Kalista, and Taric, things just get really wonky. And the way that I'm picturing a lot of mid and late game team fights is that there's too much disruption on the side of Gen.G, too much repositioning, makes it really difficult for the enemy to even do anything against it. And LeBlanc is actually going to scale here in a weird way because she has so many targets that she can pop. Obviously, Taric does make things a little bit confusing, but there's not going to be any point in the game where it becomes like, oh yeah, LeBlanc stops being effective at this point, because everyone is a viable target for her.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I really love that B5 LeBlanc pick, and that's part of the power of flex picks. It's part of the reason why we see Set picked early, because he can be flexed in this manner. By the way, shout out to BDD. Congratulations, 300 games here in the LCK. Already a nice career under his belt, but I have to argue this might be his most impressive time, as he's just working so well together on this Gen.G team. I can't stop raving about it. It's really awesome to watch, and we'll have to wait and see how he can do on the LeBlanc here, if he's going to bring LS to, what would it be, 13 and 13? Or 14 and 14? 14.
Here we go.
So you're 13 and 13 so far for draft predictions about seeing the draft and who is going to win. And we'll see if that goes up to 14. You can see here, Omnistone is going to be the selection for Set.
Omnistone Set, we saw this yesterday. I believe it was Irove.
Yeah.
Ended up taking it as well. So once you do get the boots, you get access to the Predator as well. And Set support doesn't have a ton of keystones. He's not always trading straight up. And I suppose that when your AD carry is also ideally looking to scale and you're not going to be utilizing anything like Aftershock, etc., then I suppose it's better than taking Grasp or Guardian or something like that, but it still strikes me as a little bit peculiar, although he does get a lot of value from that tree. So it's not like Inspiration is something to scoff at, but definitely a bit surprising. Comet still hasn't been able to be procced. Jace versus Akali, you'll have to pay attention to that lane up in top. Akali doesn't really use her energy all that much up in this matchup anyway, so the nerfs don't really influence so much, but Jace did get buffed, and Jace used to be one of the champions that was very popular against Akali.
We've seen a lot of lanes in the archives of LCK where it's just super one-sided lanes up against Akali as the Jace. Clit is going to come up here once again and support Rascal. This is not the first time we've seen this either. Going to go ahead for that scanner, take away that ward. Now he's just going to sidle his way on over towards the Raptors. So just giving a little bit of vision support. It's a nice little trade here with the Electrocute proc. Will go the way of BDD. The flash on in, and they're just going for the kill here onto Nuclear with the Ignite ticking. And even if they don't get the kill, a big trade win going the way of Gen.G.
Yeah, and that's really big value. Set has the Hextech flash available as well, so he'll be able to use that later on. Nuclear just in a really rough spot here. This is his first pick on the Kalista in the LCK. We pay attention to the junglers as well. Jarvan trying to make something happen. And unlike...
9-0 on Jarvan, by the way.
Yeah, Clid 9-0 overall.
This is this season's stats, by the way.
And he's coming down here looking to make something happen. Hex Flash, nice face break.
Oh man, Hex Flash is just so good on the support set. You see, he's just gonna stroll up past the minions. Has no stun, no dazzle available. They dive on in. And just like that, he makes it look so easy. Even on vision, they're able to get that very simple dive off.
And it's just really good. Jarvan able to path down to bottom. Now, much like, or a little bit different than game number 1, Jarvan will want more of an economy this time around because the laners don't have the ability to stand on their own like in game 1. But as long as he can get the ball rolling or offset a lot of the pressure that can be present in some of the lanes, it's going to be super good. And Jarvan does have value in the later stages against the Zoe, against the Jace. Comes down here, Ruler ends up picking up the first kill. That's exactly who you wanted on to get the ball rolling for the Kai'Sa, trying to accelerate towards her evolutions, getting the ball rolling. As meanwhile, up in top lane, Rascal not really doing that bad of a job. If he ends up getting all of this CS, he's only going to be down 10. And Jace lanes are always measured by how close you are to Jace, not necessarily how much CS did you miss.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen this lane. I feel like we're going back to early last year, but Rascal's doing a great job so far of cleaning up all the CS that he can, even under so much pressure. And so really got to hand it to him so far. Of course, Klid has been up there multiple times. Even Life this time around comes up, scans out for wards, puts down a control ward actually. And they're supporting him in not just ganks, but just in presence that makes Nuguri back off just a bit.
Well, Nuguri does have to be a little careful. You never want to fall behind on Jace. As Rascal finishing up the minion wave. Nuguri might not have to teleport. He might just elect to run back. Although Rascal staying inside the lane. Teleport is available. In case they wanted to use it bot lane or something. I don't know. There was a lot of pausing and then the camera zoomed in. So Hex Drinker, first item on the Jace. Does give the magic resistance, which has insane amounts of value against not just the Akali, but also the LeBlanc. And even the Jarvan, because he ends up getting the Cinder Hulk, which deals the magic damage. Klid just going to solo the Infernal Dragon, and that is a beautiful dragon for their team composition. You have so many champions that utilize dual scaling. Kai'Sa, obviously, gets a lot of value out of Infernal. Akali as well.
Yeah, and I love the way that Klid mixes up his game based on the game state. It's not always let's camp the top side. It's depending on exactly what he's going to be going up against. Game 1 looks entirely different from Game 2 Klid. He's really trying to make waves, but if he can't find it in lanes, he's going to go for a very early dragon take. As you can see, a bit of a trade here. Rascal hopping back into the Shroud, and now going in. That's a huge burst damage. Beryl, though, is going to be able to get away. You can see just what that set support is able to set up for his AD carry.
Yeah, meanwhile, in top lane, Canyon trying to respond in kind to the pressure that was present in bot lane. Canyon trying to just do the golems. Rascal comes back up into top lane, is going to have the Shroud available again. He's going to try to clear out this minion wave. This is 2 turret plates going over to Jace. Ends up taking a turret shot. And honestly, bot lane, as my stream just died. Am I still with you, Valdez?
You're here. We can hear you, or at least I can hear you.
I'm trapped on the ship.
Is this still down?
It's still down for me, Valdez.
Oh boy. Well,
I'm back.
Okay,
Hello.
We're back. Can we hear you? I can hear you.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay. Well,
Klid is flagging away.
Yeah. Okay. You're with us. Looks like your sync is fine. The fun in games of the remote broadcast is trying to punish BDD. It does not happen. And he just hops away. LSU okay over there?
I am fine. I am here. Thank you for looking out for me, Valdez.
Yeah, just making sure.
As Rascal just trying to sustain again up in top lane. Gen.G, they're ahead in the gold department. A lot of that obviously stemming down from bot lane. And as if it wasn't already bad enough, Cole also picked up on the Kai'Sa. Just going to get more and more ahead. Jace is doing about as expected up here in top lane. You see Clid coming in now to maybe try to offset the pressure. By Rascal's movements, Nuguri should know something is up. Silas trying to barrel up the top lane.
Absolutely, you can see he's coming in, and the knockup is going to happen. Nuguri doesn't flash away from the flag and drag. He had flash available, but I suppose he just didn't expect Clid to be so on point. Either way, it does happen. We should see if he steals away the Jarvan ultimate. No, not going to go for it. But he is still around here against Rascal. Clid hanging in there. He's going to steal away Akali's just in case there would be any opportunity, but it does not come to fruition.
And I think the reason that Nuguri doesn't flash away there is because at that proximity, let's say that he does flash away, Jarvan can chain Cataclysm, and then at that point Jace is still just locked inside and would end up going down, but Nuguri probably not feeling super good right now after all of that pressure was just alleviated. He was doing so good in the lane up until that point. Akali only down about 23 CS. Bot lane finding a lot of success for Ruler and Life, as Leblanc still has yet to really show her fangs this game. Does have a CS lead here against Showmaker. Has the Ignite. Lost Chapter. Merc Treads is interesting. Definitely more defensive purchase here.
Yeah, it's not something you see all the time, but I suppose just wants to be extremely mobile in this case. We've seen Faker grab those on this champion at the same time, so I don't mind it. As Shelly is going to come on down and take down this turret. We'll give Nuguri a bunch of gold. As Canyon still around. Rascal, nice footwork there as Canyon going to use that ultimate of Akali's, but not going to amount to much.
바로 갈게. 아 위치 보이면 돼.
Take a look at the replay here.
용량. 나 용량 화면 하자. 점화 1번. 하나 잡았어. 나이스. 철 체크.
They asked for a spell check at the very end. And that was pretty much it. And so now, with the top turret going down, that's basically just free farm for Akali. As every single time, this is all that's going to happen now. Jace is going to go up to top lane, he's going to shove the wave in, Akali's going to go up to it, and then Jace can't overextend because he has to respect the Jarvan. He can't do all that much. Now, on this instance, he might be able to get the golems. Gen.G rotate down to the Cloud Dragon. They're probably looking to just pick this up really fast, and if you're Gen.G, what you want to roll right now is Ocean. Ideally, that way you can really just stay on top of them and brawl endlessly.
See that the Drake is taken down here. And yeah, I mean, that is going to go the way of pushing into the mid lane here is DAMWON, looking to get as much chip damage as possible. Should be able to pick off one turret plate, 53 gold to all of them, but now they are trying to punish them. The big engage from Life, as Nuguri is going to flash away. Flag and drag to get away from that bubble, as the poke is real for the side of DAMWON.
And, well, BDD just gonna do a trade here with Showmaker. But this game is much slower than anything else that we've experienced so far tonight. Mountain coming up in 4 minutes. Now, they do have champions that build resistances. And it isn't like DAMWON doesn't have bursty champions. They absolutely do. But not as ideal as Ocean Canyon. Trying to steal away this red buff.
They didn't even know Canyon was there. They were going for the guy up in the top side. Shuriken will come in and lock him down. Canyon, I suppose, gets away with the red buff after all of the shenanigans. Really close on the trade there. He's going to pop back one more auto. Might have done it. Looks like maybe it was two there towards the end. Barrel comes in with a heal to make it a bit closer.
Yeah, and what a close encounter, honestly. BDD has the blue buff still, not going to be able to get that last turret plate before the turret plates do end up falling, so Zoe going to end up recalling. Call is almost complete by Ruler, so that'll be a nice little pickup as Nuclear does secure the red buff via the Rend on the Callista. Pretty hard to win against that. As Cinderhole completed on J4, 2.5 minutes until Mountain Dragon comes up. Kaisa has completed her call. Take another look at this replay, and Life just did not see what was going on. He Hex Tech flashes over the wall, Clid comes up, flag and drag, knocking up Nuggery, and he just doesn't have anywhere to go. Canyon just says, see you later. As we head back into Live, and there's not much really going on here.
Well, trying to start up a fight here. They bait him into it with the TPs coming in. The Rend's not going to be enough damage for Nuclear, and now Rascal's in a really awkward spot. The exhaust is there. The TPs come in from the side of DAMWON, and now Showmaker up on the top side taking a ton of damage. They should be able to catch up to him here, I'd imagine, but now with a bunch of the other members of DAMWON Gaming coming on up, looks like he's going to get away unscathed. As does Rascal, by the way. He's able to hop away from that one.
And DAMWON are going to reward themselves with the bottom tier 1 turret. They're going to have to be careful, though, on the reset timing. With Mountain coming up in a minute and a half, we'll have to pay attention to that, what they end up doing for about the next 45 seconds or so. BDD crashing in another mid-wave. It is a cannon, so Canyon or Showmaker should be able to get there in time and get the entirety of the wave. BDD going to recall into Luden's Echo, does end up picking it up. Can Akali get to Gunblade before this Mountain Drake? I don't think so, but Rascal should be pretty close. Does have 2 assists. 1 minute until that Mountain comes up. Seekers must be fully stacked. Jace is going into lethality at this point.
Lid, you gotta be careful. That Jace, at this point in time, he's got a lot of burst damage, especially with the extra Dirk that he has picked up. And down 2 levels, so Clid eats a bunch of damage, is going to go for a recall. And yeah, we're kind of just waiting for this Mountain Drake to spawn. About 40 seconds left until that does come up here. Gold score pretty even at this point in time.
Dark Harvest stack actually available for Life. It's really important when you're playing Omnistone to try to get as many Dark Harvest stacks as you can. There's actually a Reddit thread that really goes into detail on what Dark Harvest does for all of the runes, amplifying all of their effectiveness. And so it's sort of like this own little mini game when you have Omnistone that you really want to try to chase after. So this is the Mountain Dragon fight. It's really big. If Gen.G get this, they are threatening a 23.5 minute Mountain Soul, which will just spell lights out for DAMWON.
They're on it right now. As you can see, DAMWON, they zone away BDD, but now he's got a really interesting angle. Even if he's seen, that is massive damage. Showmaker trying to come in from behind here, but Rascal zoning him out with a bit of damage. They're going to let the Drake reset as Kaisa took an immense amount of damage. That time just barely missing on the Shock Blast. Ren's getting close, and it is going to go to the Silas, actually. So nice smite comes down here from Canyon. They pick that one up, as now they're on the chase. But I think Gen.G at this point should probably just disengage. Sleep Trouble Bubble coming on in, and that is probably a dead Jarvan. Looking to trade this one back, but with the Taric ultimate, Canyon is going to survive. And now Set just left out to dry, as the double kill will go the way of Canyon. Follow up here onto Rascal, not quite going to land, as in goes BDD, and he nearly dies on the backside, just looking for an extra pick onto Canyon.
Yeah, and that is a really big swing in DAMWON's favor here. As they get the Mountain Dragon, they're going to be able to raise the mid-tier 1. And the thing that's so surprising about this is they were obviously posturing for a fight. They didn't have the Gunblade complete, nor the Guinsu's Rageblade on the Kaisa. Really big item completions missing. The other thing is that Leblanc, she has Luden's Echo, doesn't have Sword-Fed Boots or an Oblivion Orb or anything of that. So, depending on who she's going for, doesn't really deal all that much damage. You can see Gen.G really don't actually want to fight here, because they're waiting on major key item completions. And BDD tries to go in, do some damage onto Canyon, ends up coming up empty. And so now DAMWON, they're ahead about 1,500 gold with the Mountain Dragon, which is really valuable given that there is assassins on the side of Gen.G.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just going to provide just that bit of extra resistance against Kali, Leblanc, so much burst damage, backline potential. It can keep a lot of people alive in the thick of it. Gen.G, you can see they're going to let Shirley go. I'm not sure if they had full vision of that, but they're playing extremely weak on the north side with Rascal up there, just saying, you handle it, we're going to pressure bot. You know, we're not putting any focus up there at all. Whereas DWG is doing the exact opposite. They're going to drop down Shirley and say, hey, you're not going to protect up in the top side. Let's try to take this objective.
And the top turret is going to end up going down. They're also going to crash this into the top tier 3. Not going to be able to raise the turret, however. It's going to be a close call. And the game isn't really in either party's favor right now. It's in a very even state. That was a really nice key series of events for DWG that occurred at a really nice point in the game where Kali's still waiting for a major item completion, as was the Kaisa. But the next team fight is going to be a lot more telling, especially because from this point forward, Silas is going to conduct himself essentially as the same champion, has all of his recipe components, and that's where the real utility that he's getting comes from. So there's not a whole lot that's changing for him, nor the Jace. He's still on the serrated Dirk. He's going to have another lethality at him, but it doesn't really change how he conducts himself at all.
Second chain goes down on the barrel. He forces the exhaust just like that. There was no vision up towards the north side for the blue team. That does mean that we do have the Mountain Tree coming up here in a minute and a half, so that exhaust should be down for that objective. And just a little win going towards BDD, who, you know, you talked about this in the draft. It was kind of hard to see exactly who was going to win this one, especially after being really off-theme Zoe and Jace when it originally looked good for DWG in the draft. But the amount of mobility and the way you can kind of flex with the champions that Gen.G has, kind of push them over the edge, and that's a little bit of what BDD was trying to do there as he goes in again, and he gets flexed on. Maybe trying to flex a little bit too hard, and he just got popped like a balloon.
Well, that is a very unfortunate death right now. As
about the worst time.
Yeah. Wave in mid means that DWG, they're gonna raise the mid tier 2, and they're pushing on. Leblanc is actually up in about 10 seconds. And Zoe going for the Banshee's Veil, second item. See what ends up happening. 15 seconds until the Mountain Dragon, and realistically, Gen.G, if they give this one up, I think that might be enough for DWG to really just close home the game, because this is going to start invalidating the second item completion. We're talking about 12% amp to armor and MR. That's not super big because obviously no one's getting any sort of magic resistance yet, but Zoe will get the Banshee's Veil. Natural base stats as well getting amplified. Double assassin on the side of Gen.G with no pen on either of them. It's just so much effective HP being given over to DWG.
And speaking of ice, we're going for a Baroon. Baroon 5 is back, as they are just going to go all in onto this objective, and the smite will go the way of Clid. But can they get out of this afterwards is the question. Rascal trying to get out of here, and he will, but Canyon on the chase is going to poke down life as he is going to bite the dust. You see the Baron recall on the top side. Looks like it got Kaisa to safety, and somehow they get in and only get out with 2 deaths.
Oh, man. Well, Baron does go the way of Gen.G, and that helps them a lot in the gold department. They only lost 2 members, but now all the waves are going to be pretty favorable for them. They have a lot of gold and XP coming into them. That's also a lot of XP picked up. Everyone was inside of that Baron pit.
Yeah.
And this is really big. Look at the level discrepancy on Gen.G compared to DAMWON. Obviously, the top laners are even, but one level in mid, one level in bot. Yeah, Rascal really wants to try to kill the Jace. And honestly, the Hex Drinker eventually going to be turned into the Maw of Malmortius. I'm actually surprised he hasn't done it already. Given that you keep getting Mountain Dragons, just getting as much MR as possible is really nice. As we take a look at it, really nice smite by Clid. Akali goes over the wall, uses the Shroud. R2 into the safety of Red. Nuguri misfires. And eventually life ended up going down.
Yeah, but you could see the way they split up was really the impressive part, because the Akali went one way, went south, and distracted the Jace. So Jace could have actually potentially stopped a back onto a Kai'Sa or Leblanc if he had been there, but distracts the Jace. The Kai'Sa goes north, is able to get the Baron recall, and then BDD's on Leblanc. So, of course, tons of mobility there. Looking for Nuguri here in the brush. Does not pan out, as, yeah, he's been doing that all game long. He's been the real bane of Ruler's existence in this game.
Bane's not in the game, Elvis.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the Bane from the Batman movie.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, the other one.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, yeah, thank you. All right. Well, 2 minutes until Mountain Dragon is going to be coming up here. Rascal, meanwhile, in top lane, just trying to shove in waves. There is still the standing gold on that top tier 1 turret of DAMWON. Void Staff ended up having to be picked up by Leblanc, and it is a nice item to get the pens, but these Mountain Drakes are really so scary. If DWG gets another one, it just keeps adding up, and then threatening Mountain Soul is going to be super insane. Kai'Sa not even going to probably be able to deal a lot of damage at that point. I mean, Jarvan is tickling the opponent, honestly, at this point, as Tank Jarvan. And Edge of Night was completed on the Jace. Really does seem like Leblanc is stuck on 2 items. I'm not really sure how much gold BDD has in his inventory, but DAMWON is in a pretty comfortable lead right now.
You can see he just went back. He picked up a tome and 2 control wards. So the answer was about 550. And it's really not that much gold. It's not a great spot if you are the Leblanc. 3rd Mountain Drake about to be threatened here for DAMWON. And we talked about this. Every single Mountain Drake is just chipping away. This is not a Cloud Soul. This is real resistances and winning potential going the way of DAMWON. So Gen.G want to have any chance. I think they've got to stop this one, if not the next one. See that they're moving up for it now. The Hex Flash over the wall coming in from Life. He's trying to find that engage as Rascal is going to TP in behind here, but DWG able to group up as a huge shock blast already into the back line, but some lifesteal gonna be good. Looking for the trade. One-on-one here is Canyon. Rascal will back away as DWG move to support their team, as the poke is always going to be good for the side of DWG. They're fine to play this game. Nuguri's having a ball. Not to mention that beach ball.
Yeah. Okay. This is a 3rd Mountain Dragon going the way of DWG. And it's the worst possible Drake for Gen.G to try to fight into. If it was 3 Ocean Dragons, Gen.G can still easily win fights, but 18% amp to armor and magic resistance is so painful at this point. Akali has Sork Pen boots. I think she's going to get Oblivion Orb next, but just think about it. It's really scary. You're going to have the Maw of Malmortius completed soon on Jace. Not sure what Zoe is going to end up picking up next. Hex Drinker picked up on Nuclear. Makes it that much harder for Akali and LeBlanc. So much pressure on Ruler in this game now. He picks up a QSS. He's going to have to go into the AD Kai'Sa, as there's just way too much magic resistance. Maw of Malmortius picked up now by Nuclear.
Just stacking up the resists. They get the items, they get the Drakes, and it feels like Gen.G are going up against a rock here, as the burst damage of Akali and Leblanc is eventually going to become laughable. The longer this game does come along, the more items that are complete, and the more Drakes that do go down. Not to mention the Mountain Soul, which is just going to add even that much more survivability. And on their side, they also have a nice amount of damage. You could see that the poke, we talked about how it looked off theme in the draft, but they've been able to make it work, at least so far. Gen.G have been looking for hard engages, but DAMWON have been great about their positioning so far in the game.
3 minutes until the Mountain Soul does end up coming up, and things are really looking pretty gray. You can see LeBlanc comes in, the chain did nothing to Nuclear. Clid has to hightail it out of there. And the scary thing is that Tariq's ultimate, it's hard for Gen.G to even take a straight up team fight at this point. The heals, the shields, everything, it's so problematic. They don't have split push options available. And so much pressure put onto Kaisa. And honestly, Nuguri he is shooting bullets at Gen.G.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a cannon. It's like a literal cannon just bonking the backline every single time. You can see BDD being a real nuisance on a Showmaker now, though, as Life, he's going to be the one that distracts the rest of DAMWON and leaves Showmaker a bit out to dry, but again, he's able to get the redemption down. Nuguri is on the chase here onto Rascal. Clid is just going to go on a one-way ticket into that backline. Set's ultimate is going to be stolen here as Canyon gets into the backline and is just looking to take down more and more members. Ruler is also going to be going down here in the end as everybody else is just backing.
And it looks like this is going to be the end of the game, I think. They have a cannon minion. It's only an Akali and a LeBlanc, the two champions who the entire enemy team is itemized to perfectly handle any of their attacks. I mean, LeBlanc did no damage.
Yeah, they're just trying to clear out the wave, though, as BDD is actually going to kill Showmaker, and Rascal gets in and gets out and buys time for Life to make it up. They need Jarvan, as he is going to make his way in. DAMWON really trying to push the issue here. I'm not sure if that's smart, though, as they are going up against both of these turrets. The stopwatch is huge, but the damage from Nuguri is going to be enough to take down that Akali. And in the end, DAMWON, they don't get any Nexus turrets, but they do run away with a couple more kills.
Yeah, they run away with a lot of kills, and they expended a lot in the past 2 minutes, but they're so far ahead now. Take a look at this team fight. Leroy Jenkins right into DAMWON, as I have absolutely no thought process for what could have been going through Clid. Yeah, exactly. Leroy Jenkins the fourth right there with the flag and drag. Ruler failing his flash, not able to kill Canyon before he ends up getting the massive heal. Replay here as well, as this was Battle of Helm's Deep here.
That last turret shot actually killed Showmaker. And had there been a Zoe to help out and keep it 5 members, I think they would have had a better chance at slowly chipping away as they were trying to do.
Well, Nuguri right at the very end, knocking Akali into Tomorrow. As DAMWON, this is it. It's the Mountain Soul. It is a 4-stack Mountain Dragon. Look at Callista. I mean, she's a tank. She has, I think, 103 armor and 106 magic resistance. So no one deals any damage. She has lifesteal. She has shields coming in from Tariq. There's no way for Gen.G to win. They
yeah, I mean,
itemized in a very peculiar manner. LeBlanc had the Merc Treads super early on, no Sork Pen Boot. It came time to get the third dragon, and it happened to be a mountain, which is the worst possible Drake
Well, they're gonna give it their all here in one last desperate attempt. They're up against a Callista that's on the Baron. I think the Baron steal is off the table. They have to try to go for the actual kills here. As you can see, Life is chasing, but Rascal is just gonna die. Into the backline goes the Kaisa, and the steal on the Baron at the same time. Can Gen.G actually win the fight? You see Ruler with so much room, and he's gonna get a triple kill already, and the kill is gonna go down onto the Jason somehow with the quadra kill. Somehow Gen.G have turned this game around.
Wait, they have a minion wave!
And they have a minion wave.
Showmaker!
They're gonna try to end the game, absolutely.
No,
Pentakill!
no.
Pentakill!
Wait!
Oh man.
Valdez.
They're ending the game. LS, you better be a believer. Oh, I don't know though. There's 15 seconds on the Callista. They're gonna go for it though. Yeah, they're absolutely going for it. They're not going to waste any time. They have the one minion. They're going to tank it up. And absolutely, Gen.G should be winning this game. The turret will go down. And down will go the Nexus in the span of 30 seconds. Gen.G have pulled the game back to their favor. Literal silence from my co-caster.
I'm just so blown away.
14 for 14, baby. I was ready to give you crap for losing that one. It does not happen.
They saved it. You know what? I'm gonna need to. I need to set. I gotta get Arnold's PayPal. After this series, I'm gonna have to shoot him a DM.
That was a sick team fight, though. That was crazy. The way they handled that. Kaisa Ruler had so much room to pull that in somehow.
Oh my. How? They had one job, Valdez. Actually, one job.
How did the Wrens not get the
only
Baron
thing
in the first place?
Going through my head right now is like Patrick Star failing something from SpongeBob. Like, that is the only thing. They had exposed middle. They could have ended the game in mid lane when they were pushing the Nexus turrets. Let's take a look at this.
Break this
one
down.
more time. Baron, you would think that it's impossible to lose it. Mountain Soul plus the Ren. Callista goes out of range, stops attacking. The Baron, Clid with a miracle. Well, I mean, it's Clid. Come on. Undefeated on Jarvan. As the Rend ends up failing. Now, Callista's Rend did get a hit, I believe, last year.
Yeah.
On
the end of last year.
Yeah, at the end of last year, I believe Callista's Rend did get nerfed, so it's not as strong as it used to be against monsters. But, or just insane. They had a minion wave in such close proximity, tapped it with the Baron. And even though the Leblanc went down, she did her job. And then Penta. No flash, no flash. Focus. Penta. Now I'll give it to you. Nice. Said keep focusing, it's not over yet.
Yeah, and then it was over.
And then it was over.
So 14 for 14, how does it feel?
You know what? Honestly, I thought
so
that
lucky, man.
I thought the Cosmos was working against me. From the Merc Treads on the LeBlanc to the Mountain Dragon rolling and Gen.G not having their core item completions to it, and then just more and more mountains. My life was flashing before my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, that game was, we were calling it over, and for a good reason. I mean, that was just so hard to lose. To be real,
it was really hard to lose.
It was just so hard to lose from that point. I mean, that must have been like a 98% chance to win.
They have an Akali and a LeBlanc, both without any sort of penetration in the early and mid transition. Eventually, LeBlanc gets Void Staff, but you're stacking Mountain Dragons, and it's just so problematic. Things are looking so dire, and you know what? Your hearts really have to go out to DAMWON, though. I would imagine that if you replay that situation from the start of the Baron out, that they win the game like 99 out of 100 times. And Clid raised his finger like Doctor Strange and said this was the one time.
Yeah. Not today. Clid is just, I mean, I really wanted to give him the player of the game vote again, but I felt like Ruler's positioning and mental just fortitude, I guess, to be able to understand how to play out that game or that team fight specifically, and essentially carry them from that position. I don't know, it was just so crazy. It's hard to give it to one player in a game like this, as everything was going DAMWON's way. It looked like they were actually going to challenge Gen.G after a really extra clean game number 1.
Yeah, and it looked like it was going to game number 3, and honestly, Nuguri was having a stellar performance. If there was a way to give an MVP to a losing team player, I would give it to Nuguri. His Jace was so on point at softening up all the members on Gen.G, and it's really, really sad, and this is a very tilting kind of loss for DAMWON. They looked so close at so many points to just outright winning it. From the Nexus turrets to this failed Baron attempt, everything was going their way.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a fight like this, even down to the failed flash, and you're like, damn it, okay, I guess we're going to game 3. And DAMWON's really putting it on, but this is the team fight. Ruler right into the back. Somehow the steal comes in. Just the mental fortitude of both of them. Clid and Ruler just they're like reaching another level. They have transcended essentially at the end of this game, as Clid's, that's another streak that doesn't get broken. Clid 9-0 before this game. Now he's 10-0 on one champion in this split of LCK. As you were talking about Jace, you were talking about Nuguri. That's, yeah, we've seen that graph before, and we see it once again here for Nuguri.
And, Gen.G were not able to deal a lot of damage. Nuguri was trying to 1v9 this game, and it's a very heartbreaking loss. A Mountain Soul. 4 stacked Mountain Drake. With resistances too. This isn't even like the resistances don't matter. The enemy team had 2 assassins, a tank jungler. I mean, you can't hope for more.
Yeah.
And the game was just stolen right under their noses.
It really was. Again, it was so hard to lose from that point, but everything went right for them. As I think we're gonna have the interview. No, actually, we're gonna have the Pog first. It is going to be Ruler that does pick it up. I voted for Ruler, and then actually I changed my vote over to Clid. I was so torn. Just the 2 of them together, like, I just wanted to give 2 votes, to be honest. As Clid comes in, steals it away, Ruler's perfect positioning to get into the back line. Taric ultimate not able to save them, as it was Nuguri and Showmaker, these 2 Pope champions, even though they were so far ahead, they really struggled once the collapse came in that hard. I mean, Showmaker may have gotten, 1 Battle Star off in that fight? Wasn't really much that Zoe could do in that position.
Just, I honestly, I lost speech here.
Yeah, they didn't change my official vote, as it did still go the way of Ruler, but it wouldn't have changed anyway. As 6 votes went to Ruler, 2 went to Clid, 1 went to what? Why am I forgetting? The support player of Gen.G, Life. Yeah. My Life, by the way. As yeah, he also had a pretty good game. Gotta hand it to him. But yeah, it was between Ruler or Clid for sure. As absolutely fantastic comeback and a devastating loss for DAMWON, and that ends up making it the third 2-0 of the day, and LS 14-0. 14 correct predictions in a row on drafts starting here in round 2.
And things are so again, I don't have the total update on what the prediction score overall for Spring 2020 is, but so far, some of the people I have going through it, it's a pretty good number so far.
Yes.
I will update that on Twitter at a later point, but 14 for 14, doing pretty good. You know Atlas is going to come along tomorrow and curse me.
What was that? You cut out. I didn't hear what you said.
What?
Yeah, for some reason you cut out for me sometimes, but not for the stream.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's strange.
It just started happening, but
it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Lost script, lost sound.
All I heard was, that Atlas
Oh, yeah, he's gonna come and curse me tomorrow.
Wait, he's gonna come and what? You got out again? I swear.
No,
I'm not even trolling you. Okay. Well.
All right. Well, we're gonna go to the MVP winners interview here in just a moment. What an exhilarating last game! If you're a Gen.G fan.
I did not expect it to end that way. To be honest, I was buckling down. I was hunkering down for the long winter, the third game that was going to come in after what has been a long day. After we had that, what was it, like an hour and a half pause podcast, where we got the unofficial 5th episode of the Pog State in, and talked about many things, including milkshakes, which I did drink.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just moments away from getting the winners interview here.
I think that the milkshakes really bring all the viewers to the Rift.
Yes.
All the boys to the Rift. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You know that song?
Yeah. I
감사합니다.
I am aware. And I'm aware that Jason is going to help us with the translation now of the player of the game interview.
Thank you very much, guys. Let's hear from Ruler and Clid with his video call interview due to the remote LCK going on. Gen.G, 10th win of the split. You guys are in the king right now. How are you guys feeling?
일단 제가 첫 번째 경기 같은 경우는 깔끔하게
For game 1, we
두 번째
did
경기
perform
같은 경우
cleanly.
플레이적인
But in
문제랑
game number
배팅
2,
문제에서
there
좀
were
많이
a lot of
나와서
problems in terms of play and also draft, so we have to work on it. But let's go back to game number 1. Still undefeated on this champion throughout the spring split. And also, the overall score on J4 is fantastic as well in your career. Did you feel confidence on this champion today as well?
항상 어떤 챔피언을 하든 자신감이
I
있는 것 같고요.
am always
그리고
confident
자르반이
on
플레이
whatever
메이킹하는
champion
것도
I
좋아하다
play,
보니까 제가
and also
그런
because
것들이
I like to kind of be the one of making plays. I especially prefer J4, that's true.
네.
Well, also
상대
for the
입장에서도
opponents,
자르반을 주고 대처를 할 수 있었다고
well,
생각을
they
했고
could kind of
저희 팀
play
입장에서는
into
혹시
this
승률도
champion
좋고
J4.
자신의
However,
픽이
for
좋았다
Gen.G,
보니까 그냥
J4 is having a very high win rate, and I also like to play it, so we were confident enough to lock it in. And Ruler, another pentakill going into your pocket. How are you feeling about that score, that record?
기분 너무 좋고
Whoa, feels so good.
또 뺏으려 했는데 다행히 안 뺏겨서
I almost lost it again, but I secured it by myself, so feels happy.
잘안 들립니다.
Sorry, I have been a bad reception here. I mean, you were very unhappy last time when someone took away your pana. Sorry, I really cannot hear you. Oh, being unhappy with that still. Well, if someone tries to steal it again, maybe I will express my unhappy emotion again. Ruler, you got the second, third, fourth, and fifth pentakill of the spring split. I mean, my teammates are setting up such a great angle for me. Maybe that's why. And pentakill in game number 2 was a little bit different because it was after a huge turnaround. So who made the calls in that moment?
태민이가 자르반으로
Clid
그냥
on J4.
보자고 2km 들어가는데
He said,
다행히
let's
에어본이
watch
다
Clistar,
맞아서
and he went
저희가
in with flag and drag, and he did land this airborne on him, so we were able to kind of win that fight. But there were some moments when the game did not go well because Kalista and Tariq kind of ended in DAMWON Gaming's hand.
저희가 뭐 네.
Well, we... Yeah, I mean... But giving him some hints that it's gonna be something strategic, so being more short with his answer. And Kalista, top, also showed in game number 1. Was Gen.G aware of this potential pick?
네, 뭐 생각은
Well, I
했었던
think
것
we
같고요.
did.
그리고 아마 너구리 선수가
And also
싱글
Nuguri.
랭크에서도 했던 것 같고,
He also
그리고
prepared it
공격적으로
in
했을
solo
때
queue.
효율이 잘 나오는
And it's a
챔피언이기도
great
하다
champion when you
보니까
play it
너구리 선수가
aggressively.
충분히
So
기량할 만하다고 생각했던
we
것 같아요.
thought that this kind of fits Nuguri very well.
속도의 젠지다.
Gen.G always showing great speed and ending the game so early. Are you guys satisfied with this? Superlatives?
자체 일단 무엇보다 전 경기가 너무 길었어가지고.
I mean, speaking of the speed, you know, the earlier match lasted so long, so we wanted to end it quite early today. Maybe that's why.
네, 앞선 경기가 약간 좀 길어져가지고 많이 아쉬움이 생겼었는데.
Yeah, the match number 2 today was a bit extended today. That's true. And Gen.G, you guys are showing great momentum right now. So what kind of Gen.G are you guys trying to show for the fans?
뭐 비록 오늘 첫 경기 같은 경우는 깔끔했지만
Well, even though
두 번째
game number
경기에서
1 was really
주춤한
clean,
느낌이
we
있어가지고
weren't really
다음 경기도 그런
showing great
점이나
performance
자잘한 점에서
in
좀
game number
보완해서
2,
더
so
좋은
we
경기를
really want to improve those points and show stronger performance in our upcoming series.
네.
우리 동물농장 굉장히
And Ruler.
우리 룰러 선수. 아까 좀 잘못 말씀드렸는데 펜타킬은 2연속이긴 하대요.
Also, we want to correct this information. You are having 2 pentakills in a row in the split.
계시거든요.
And a lot of fans are happy with your amazing record right now. So any last message for your fans?
앞으로도
Well,
저희가 연습이 잘 되고
our practice is going really well, so I'm pretty sure that we will be able to satisfy our fans and we will keep doing our best. And also, I want to add on to that because BDD had his 300 game in LCK and he was the one securing that Nexus in the last moment. So any message for BDD? So BDD, well, I mean, during the communication, BDD was doing a great work, especially controlling his Leblanc passive. So he did a great work. And 300 game in LCK. Any comments about that? He had his 300th game in LCK today, just now. Well, I think he still has a long way to go, and congratulations. Anything more to add on to that? Congratulations, BDD, on your 300th game in LCK. So this will be the end of the interview with Ruler, Clid, the POG of Gen.G for today's series, and I'm gonna hand it back to our casters. Thank you.
And I believe that is the end of the interview. So thank you, G-Sun, as always, for the wonderful translation and your hard work today, as well as everybody's work on today's broadcast. We had a while to go there during that pause, and a lot of games once again, as ULS will continue to do that for the next bunch of days, as I am done for the week, actually. Alice is going to be coming in starting tomorrow. So you guys will get to see hear his amazing voice with his super high quality mic. I'm actually looking forward to that myself. But either way, guys, we did just finish that off. Gen.G 10-1 plus 16. This is real domination right now. 7 wins in a row for this one team, LS.
Yeah, I mean, Gen.G is just performing so well at this stage of the LCK. They're on a 7-game win streak plus 16. They continue to separate themselves from the rest of the pack, and they managed to edge it out there over DAMWON in the end. And honestly, the only times DAMWON has looked close to being able to find wins is when they either get an insane draft edge or they get insane RNG, and for certain events to just unfold that favor them. But even tonight, they had a game stolen away from them. Really unfortunate. We'll see if they can eventually manage to bounce back. We're not really seeing any of the Scrim God type stuff that we heard about. Coming back into round 2, next matchups, Hanwha Life versus KT is going to kick off tomorrow, followed by Sandbox versus Griffin. that is actually a really important match for both of those teams. As T1 versus Dragon X, that's the spicy one that's gonna conclude the night.
That's a massive matchup, that last one. T1, I would favor slightly, but Dragon X, I mean, they're just so talented. You never know when they're just gonna pop off unbelievably. So absolutely going to be looking forward to that one. But looks like that's going to do it for our broadcast today, guys. So thank you so much once again for watching, and we will see you tomorrow for more of the LCK. Good night.